All right, my fellow YouTubers, this is going to be the beginning of video number 2. I said that I was going to try to make it in 2 videos, but there's just so much information that they would have been 2 hours long, which some people don't mind 2 hours long, 3 hours long, and I have watched some that are 2 hours long, but I figured I need to be putting more content in, and I'm trying to get them close together so you're not having to wait a long time to watch all 2-3 videos. So the third video will be probably 1 hour or maybe even a little shorter, because I did lose a lot of video, unfortunately. Like this video here, I lost a lot of audio. I have the new camera, so the video quality is going to be better on everything going back together. The audio is going to be, I'm still using the same battery wireless packs. I'll have to pay attention to a little bit. I'm not really sure what happened. I haven't had trouble with losing audio before. And the third video, there was no problem with audio, and the first video was no problem with audio. So like I kind of mentioned there, this video, there's going to be a lot of voiceover, about 20 minutes of voiceover. So it's going to be really kind of, I don't want to say clinical, but pretty just like, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to do this. And I'll do my best to make sure everything, all the audio is lined up together. Like I've said many times, I'm not a videographer or whatever. I've got a buddy that does it. I might talk to him about maybe seeing if he could help, or I could pay him a little bit of money. He could do my videos for me. So that being said, I think that's about all I got. Something else I wanted to mention. I guess all I wanted to say is that this is just my experiences, stuff that I do, stuff that I've learned from doing it, from watching videos, from seeing other things. I'm not an expert. I'm not a tech. You know, anything you do here, do at your own risk. This is just for entertainment purposes only. But maybe there's something in here that will help somebody with their car. So, all right. Let's get to it. Bye. Swing the breaker bar out, get the cheater bar on, and then swing it back in. Yeah. I had to do this on a Nissan one time, and oh my gosh, everything I could do. All right, so there we go. That is loose. So when you do this job, there are a couple of specialty tools you have to have. One is this spanner tool here, and the other was that VVT valve spanner. And then there's yes, now I just turn it. The other one is the one for the head bolts. So, all right, so here we go. Right here I'm showing you my tool I'm using, specialty tool to get down to these intake manifold bolts. It's a T30, but it's an extension. So the one on top you can get with just a regular extension and ratchet, but the ones on bottom, if there's not a lot of room. Here I'm showing you got to take the oil filter off to be able to get the intake out. This is just showing you those 3 little connectors there, showing you that this engine's been worked on before. So I think I got them all out. Okay, this is the little spanner tool I was showing down below for taking that crank pulley off. Those are the 4 pins and the tape wrapped around it. Okay, so now I got all the bolts out, and there's 2 10mm nuts on either end on the bottom. So there's 5 bolts on top, 3 bolts on the bottom, plus the 10s or something like that. Two of the injectors stayed in. I just unplug them from the main harness. And you can see down there the two injectors are still in there. And so I'll get this intake manifold out of the way. So I'm showing you the two that are still in and where the two go, and that I just unplugged them. Nothing too complicated there. There's one connector up underneath there that's kind of a challenge to get. It's the fuel rail pressure sensor. Here I'm showing that they say you're supposed to rebuild these, put the new O-rings on them. I've had much success with just cleaning them off real good and putting them back in. I haven't had any leak, so I don't know if when it gets warm, the head, I don't know, it works. So gotta grab the other one out of here. Like I said again in my intro, sorry that I have to do this voiceover. I don't know what happened. Okay, got that one clean. Tidy up a little bit. Alright, so now I am gonna go after the alternator. It's not too bad. It's 13 millimeter bolts are. The two tops are super simple. The bottom two are a bit of a challenge. And then you've got one connector and another main power bus coming to it. The next thing I'm going after is the serpentine belt tensioner bolt. It's kind of a challenge to get to. You can see down below there, you can see the bolt right there kind of in the middle. That little bracket holds an electrical connector like a brace, and then that's the bolt. And then I'm just showing it kind of goes through that whole thing there. This is how I get that bolt off. I use this little Torx bit driver, and it works. You can stick a Allen socket through it, and it'll grab a hold of the Allen, and then I can just stick it on there and crank it off. It's nice being able to use the ratcheting ability of that little guy. I haven't found anything else I can get down in there that's that tight. There, I got it off. Next, we're going to get the tensioner out. So that is the tensioner right there. You can see it's pinned, it's locked. And I just pop her on out of there. Just a little screwdriver, a little pry bar, whatever you need to use. And then it won't fit because of the framer right there. So you have to lower it down a little bit. That's why I like setting it on the jack, so I can raise and lower it. Oh, lose a little more coolant. Just slide that pan underneath it. There we go. And let's see if it'll fit out now. And no, not quite yet. A little bit more. A little more coolant. All right. Yeah, that little plastic pin thing, that's kind of like an alignment pin for the tensioner. You kind of need that. All right, now we're going to start taking the intake manifold kind of cover off. It's really not the intake manifold, I'm sorry, the valve cover, rocker cover, whatever you want to call it, cam cover. Now you want to kind of go from end to end and work your way towards the middle. And I'm just using the impact driver. It makes it much quicker. Sorry, I should play a little music in here. This is taking a little while, but there you go. Now you've seen it come loose. A couple more here I missed. There's quite a few of them. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24 of them? 24 of them, I believe. That's just a quick count watching the video. A little shimmy shake, a little wiggle, a little pop. Probably got one more still I need to loosen. A little thread hanging up here or there. Yep, one right there I missed. 2 I missed. 3 I missed. 4 I missed. I think I'm just checking them. I don't think I missed that many. There it goes. All right, now here I'm going to show you the bearings. So the bearing is basically the exhaust, the rocker cam cover, whatever you want to call it. That's built in the aluminum cover there. So we'll pull the intake cam out. We'll pull the exhaust cam out. Now we're going to take this lower timing cover off, and there's about, I don't know, 15, 16 bolts. There you can just see up there in the top corner, there was one that you had to get the tensioner out to get. Okay, now I've got them all out, but this one here is stripped. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a notch in it with my angle grinder. You can either cut a notch. I think welding anything onto that would be a pain. Cutting a notch in it's pretty easy because you can get to it. And yes, I know the oil is open right there. I drained the oil after this. So now I'm just going to put a screwdriver on it. And that Craftsman screwdriver happens to have a square shaft on it, so you can apply a crescent wrench to it. Because I don't have quite enough grip strength to be able to pop it loose otherwise. So, all right, look at that. And I have extra covered bolts. That's not a big deal. Get that guy off. Okay, now we got to try to, well, I still got the bolt on. Let's finish getting the bolt off. Okay, and oh, there it's off. All right, good. All right, so now we gotta pry that cover off. Show you from above. I can pry from the top. If you can get it in there, it'll pop off pretty good. Generally, I try starting at the bottom. You just use this little putty knife or scraper or whatever you want to call it. You need kind of a thick, heavy-duty one because you're gonna hit it a little bit. And you can pry all this up. You got to be kind of careful because you bend that lip, but you can straighten it back out. Or for like 40, 50 bucks, you buy a whole new pan with a whole new seal in it. But I believe I just reused this pan. I just straightened her back out, put her back on. I've had pretty good luck with straightening her back out. So you got to kind of be careful in here because you can gouge that aluminum lower oil pan, or upper oil pan I should say. So I got it in there, just kind of breaking the sealant loose. That sealant is some pretty good stuff. If you get it on there good, you could probably dang near run without any bolts for a little while at least. So I'm working on one side, now I'm going to work on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to go to the top, jack it up a little bit more so I can get a little bit better angle on it. And it should be coming off here in a second. And through magic of television, boom, it's off. It took a little longer than that, but not much. There you can see the chains and the oil pump tensioner. Now we'll come to the top. You can see the guides and everything. And here I'm pointing out that the tensioner, the timing chain tensioner, is an updated one. So it has definitely been done. And that's a balancing shaft. That's the backside balancing shaft. And this is a front side balancing shaft. Now here is where I discover the problem with the engine. This balancing shaft will not turn. It's frozen. So that's really the whole reason what's going on. And here, that's the water pump. And the balancing shaft drives this water pump. So I got to take that cover off and take that pipe off you see right there in front of, right in the middle of the screen. And over here is another block I have where I could show you the balancing shafts a little better. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to turn like that. And that's the actual balancing shaft there. This is just the, just talking about the T20 and the alignment of it, and I'll go into detail on that later on during the installation. And here it's showing you where the belt is for the water pump, and there's a little nut back inside, a little bolt back inside that I'm going to have to remove. Alright, here we're back at the engine. I got that pipe off, like I said. It's just a T30 and a two T30s, one there on the pump itself and one on the block. This is a little cover that goes over that little tiny belt. It's the same deal. It's got two little T20s, T27s or T30s, I can't remember. And here it's showing you that it's locked up. Another angle that it's locked up. So we'll be back to that in a little later. I still have the head on, so that is part of the California Mission's little, I don't know, air intake for the head. You can leave it attached. You got to take the two heater hoses off right there in the middle of the screen, and there's a heat shield right there that I'm pointing at that has to come off. And it has two bolts on the top and then one bolt down below that it's a weird Allen bolt in a really bad spot that I generally don't put the Allen bolt back in, because unless you must have to have a special tool from the factory, because even just a long straight Allen is kind of wedged in there. So here I'm going at those two upper bolts that I said, and whoever worked in this car before, they also did not put that lower Allen bolt back in. The two bolts on top are more than enough to keep that heat shield in place. Got one loose. I don't think I show the getting the other one loose. Nope, I already got the other one off. So it might have been missing the other one. Now that I think about it, I think it did only have one bolt. I'll put both bolts back in. I've got extra bolts. The two upper bolts work fine. I don't put the lower one back in. I'm just disconnecting the O2 sensor. This turbo, the O2 sensor is in the turbo. There's a certain generation where they're in the cat or before the cat. Here I'm just getting a little bit of PB blaster on those exhaust bolts, because those bolts can be a challenge. Okay, so that is one of the banjo bolts that's going to have to come out. That is the oil. And then, okay, here, I got both of the heater hoses off. And one is the regular Volkswagen clamp, and the other one is a hose clamp. Here is a little bit better view of them off. And then this is a coolant line that just has two bolts. You can just kind of see where they go, kind of above that little column thing, cylinder thing, and there's the other one. You can just see where the little brass nut is within the plastic. So if you undo that and take the two hoses off, then your head can be pulled off. That all your coolant has been disconnected. So now I got to work on those bolts on that exhaust manifold. They're on the cat rather. So I got a long extension. I can't remember. I think those are 16 millimeters, the bolts. Now when you go to pry like this, that's going to want to drop. So now you can stick your hand underneath it, but I'm kind of leaning. So I can't really get a good angle or a good thing. So what I do is I just stick a block of wood underneath it, and that's just sitting on top of the transmission, so it's not going to hurt nothing. And that way I can use both hands, or I can get a better torque on. There it goes. So I got that one loose, and that just keeps that ratchet and that extension in there straight on that nut, and I don't risk stripping it out. Okay, just about got that one done. Now I'm working on the back one. These are both upper, obviously. And I can be able to put a ratcheting wrench on that, and then you just barely see the top of the screen there. I'm putting another wrench on it to give me a little bit more leverage. Those nuts are pretty tough. Okay, now we're up underneath the car, and I'm going to show you the two lower nuts for that cat. little catalytic converter there. And then there is a brace for the turbo. That's the nut that I got to take off, or the bolt I got to take off for the turbo brace. You can just barely see that there's only one lower bolt holding that brace on, and it's not the right bolt. I will definitely replace those with the correct bolts. And then there's the other banjo bolt up there. And then you have to take, this is the oil return line. You got to take those two bolts out. And then once you get all that loose, then the head can come off. Alright, so I got those bolts down below off. I got, so there was two little bolts for the oil return line going into the block. There was, there's like a brace that comes off the block and goes up and supports the turbo. That was a little boogered up. I don't like bad mouthing other mechanics, but whoever worked in this engine before didn't really know what they were doing. It was missing a bolt. It was the wrong bolt. Pretty sure it was cross-threaded. Whatever. And then I got the two banjo bolts out. And if you don't know what a banjo bolt is, so that is a banjo bolt. So it goes in and it allows fluid to flow through it and then come out the end or come in. I'm not sure. Let me think. I think it's going in and coming out. But no, it's coming in and coming out that way. Anyway, there's two of them. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. They have the same exact size tool to get them out, so that's nice. I got all the head bolts loose. There's 4 small 30s on the end that are really easy, and then there's 10 larger bolts. Now, I had a little struggle with 2 of them. These head bolts, they use the special, I think they call it a poly something. I'm not sure other tool. It's kind of like a 7-star. I don't know if you can see it there. I think it's 6 stars if I can count. 2 of the head bolts, I don't know if they over torqued them or they used the wrong tool, but this guy did not want to go in it. So I rounded the edges just a little bit more on the tip, and then I just got it lined up and then just kind of thumped it with a hammer, and it was able to drop in and got it apart. Use a big a big ratchet with the cheater bar to get them loose because they're very tight. I tighten them to 40 foot-pounds plus 290s. I read where it's like 30 foot-pounds and 290s, but the very first one I did on a 1.8 turbo, it blew the head gasket as soon as I started it. So I found more information that said no, it's supposed to be 40 or 44 foot-pounds and then 290. So I've always done that, and I've had success every time. At least with the head bolts, and I haven't broke any, so that's a good thing. I was a little nervous here that I'm not sure how I'm going to get this out if I can't get the tool in there. So get all these head bolts out. Like I said, I loosened them with the big ratchet and a cheater bar extension, and then just used the impact driver to wind them all the way out. So it should be ready to come off. Let's see, get these head bolts out. I get this one doesn't want to come out. There we got it. So yeah, there's 10 of them. One of my favorite tools here, titanium pry bar. And look at that, see? Ready to come off. Oh, I gotta get the exhaust off. Oh, the head is turning, so it's definitely good. Let's bring the engine up a little bit. There's a certain angle that the block has to sit for this exhaust to want to come off. It's kind of crazy. You'd think it would just pull off, but it stays on there pretty good. There we go, that's loose. All right, so now I have to kind of get up in there to pick that sucker up, because it's actually, that's the downside of leaving the turbo on, is it just adds that much more weight to it. So I don't know if I can get a better angle, maybe a bit better. It's the wiring harness here in the way. Let's bring you a little closer. Well, you can kind of watch me heave-ho this thing out of here. Let's see. I generally like setting something here to put the head on, so that way I'm not, try to minimize beating the car up as much as possible. Because I have to like set it down and then get out of the engine compartment and then get back in. And things kind of hang up, so it doesn't just come out easily too. Let's kick this hood up. That gives me a little bit more space. So this hood, it just has a little clip over here that you kind of pull out and you pop that up. And these hoods go straight up. They're pretty nice. They'll go straight up and down like that. And that, I just stick a bolt through there. That'll keep it from wanting to come down on your head. Maybe that's what you're supposed to. I've never put a bolt. Normally I just stick an Allen wrench through there. That bolt actually went in really nice, like it's designed to do that. So, all right, let's get some of these tools out of the way. Sorry, you're gonna let me swap you guys around to the other side here so you can see from a better angle. Not just put this over here. As you get older, you make a lot more noise. All right, here we go. Lift with your back, right? Get this thing off of here. Cat's still holding on. There. Now it's free. Get this over here. Grab the exhaust. Oh, there we go. So there it is. Got it off. Said it's kind of heavy. Like I said, you got the turbo here. So you got the turbo. It's part of the exhaust manifold, and it's nice head gasket. And so it's just there's some bolts. There's like 2 bolts that are really difficult to get to in the car, and then it doesn't really want to go back on. So let me pack this to the back bench. All right, here we go. I kind of got a little bit of space here I can get through. Not sure what's falling off. Oh, it's the little clips. Yeah, you like my headlamp? All right, so there's the head. So yeah, these little diverter things were falling out. Little intake flappers. I think there's a way you can delete all that. So let's flip this guy around. See what you can see. Oh man. Oops, I didn't mean to set it on those. I shouldn't hurt it. All right. So it should hang here. So that's what you can see here. So these are 12s, and this one down here, you can see there's one down in here that is super difficult to get to. Let's take this exhaust gasket off. Super difficult to get to. It's kind of a pain out of the car, but it's really hard in the car. So let's go ahead and get this guy removed, and then we'll just have the head to deal with. And we can look underneath it and see if it looks like anything's bent. I don't know if anything's bent. So this is kind of, these don't have to come completely, well no, the top ones have to come completely out, the bottom ones don't. The heck? The bottom ones just have to be loose. Lock that, and so it just kind of, they kind of drop down in it, and then they just kind of clamp down. This is what deals with this nut there. It gets a 13. I don't know how they managed to get a 13 on there. Actually, it looks different. And this one back here, you just take this line, you just kind of bend it down a little bit, flex it down a little bit. It still works fine once you put it all back together, and you can get to the nut. All right, so it's a little wedged in there. Flex this, whoops, don't let it fall on me. There we go. I don't think it's going anywhere. So I'm going to have to get a 13, I think. That's 13. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. That doesn't make any sense at all. Crazy. All right, so I got those loose. Like I said, they'll have to come off. Now I've got one under here. You can't really see here. Let's see what you can see. So guy right here, you can see it. You can't get anything in here, so you can't put a ratchet on it. So all you got is a boxed open end, which it works, but in the car, it's just you got no room. And so it's like, it's like an eighth of a turn at a time, or not even that, but out of the car, it's not bad. So you just got to be careful because this turbo is going to fall off pretty soon here. It shouldn't. It should bump up against those upper bolts, upper nuts. All right, so everything on the bottom is loose. That should be good. I'm going to go get the impact driver so I'm not for ratcheting. I have another one of those turbos. Okay, so we got the 12. Definitely off. And luckily I've had really good luck with these exhaust bolts. The ones on the turbo down here on the flange that you can't see, these guys, I can't see if you can tell. Yeah, these guys right here, those I've had some trouble with, but not too bad. It's wanting to just fall off. I got that last oddball 13 on here, so I'll have to hold it. What do I do if there's 13? And the views and the bumping the cameras and stuff. I'm trying to get used to doing this, and this is kind of hard to show everything. All right, so I'm just holding it up. So now it'll just slip off of there. There you go. Turbo's off. Need to check this little rod right here. You can see it. Let's see where you are. All right, so this guy here, if this guy is sloppy, which is nice and solid, then this turbo's bad, or you could put a clip on here to help it, but it's pretty good. And then you look inside, and this guy's really nice and tight, and this doesn't. So this is your dump valve. That doesn't spin it. So that's really good. This turbo actually looks pretty good. It's a little dirty, a little grimy, but for the most part, it looks like it could actually maybe be a newer turbo. All right, we'll just set this guy off to the side for now. He's just going to sit until we're all done. All right, so let's kick this guy up and look underneath it. I'm not expecting any bent valves. Yeah, see, the valves look good, actually. So what I can do is, in this head, you can tell it's definitely been cleaned because they're a lot nastier than this normally. So I think this head has come off. Whoops, can't even see. There you go, sorry. So yeah, these valves, I don't think these valves are bent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it, and then I can put like denatured alcohol, something that's, my dad was talking about, he says something you want thinner than water, and you just pour it. This is just kind of a cheapy way to do it. You just pour it in the cylinder, in the intakes, and then see if it leaks out. If it doesn't leak out, then they're pretty good. So yeah, I don't see the point in doing all the lapping on this if it's not bad. It's not bent. All right, well, cool. So I'm going to take this. Well, maybe I'll leave this guy on for now. Yeah, just set it up. Anyhow. All right, well, I guess I'll get back to you when I'm doing some cleaning. You can show you kind of how I clean it. So I can kind of tell you now. Being aluminum head, I use this little, it's basically like an abrasive rubber, kind of a grinding disc, but not really grinding. So it should theoretically be softer than the aluminum, but it can get all the carbon off of it, and I just hook it onto a drill and go to town. You could hook it on a die grinder. Die grinder's got a little more speed, but you just want to be really careful on these edges. I've heard of guys talking about, you don't want to round these edges too much to where you're really reducing this surface area here that's trying to seal between those cylinders. But I've had good success with it. And then I use a little wire wheel for the actual block. Use a wire wheel for the actual block because it's cast iron, so I'm not grinding it. I'm using a wire wheel, or a cheek poker, as Derek would call it. Yeah, so I hope you could see something that I did, or you get some benefit of the stuff that I'm doing on these engines, and can learn some of it. If there's any questions, any comments, throw it down there. Then I'll try to answer anything that I know that I've had experience with. That try to help. Yep. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. All right. So I was going to call it end of this video. Try to maybe do a two-parter. Pull it apart, and then that's the first half, and then the second half would be, putting it back together. But what I need to do is, like I said earlier, that the balance shaft is froze up. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you me pulling the balance shaft out of the engine block I have sitting on the floor. And then, because it'd be really hard to film the one in the car, so that way you understand how it works. Now, to do it, you first, let me kind of stick this stuff back in here a little, kind of cheesily like. I already took some of the stuff off, so that way, just to kind of help speed things along. So anyhow, so here it is down here. This is the balancing shaft in here. See the yellow line? That's the actual balancing shaft. This is just a secondary gear to drive it. So you loosen this guy with a triple square 10, and then, well, you take it out. You don't loosen it. Take it out. Then this just pulls off. Just kind of wiggle it, and it just come right off. I've already had it off. There we go. Kind of turn it, pull it off. This comes out, and then this is, excuse me, the little shaft it sits on. This just pops out, and there's a little pin, locating pin. That's how you know how it goes back on. So that's very nice. And then there is back in here, there is a 30 Torx bit bolt that holds that in. Now, the trick to doing this is this little guy right here. This is a specialty tool you got to buy. It's like, I think it's like $50, but it makes it possible. So I've got it on the slide hammer now. I'll probably have to take it back off the slide hammer so I can get it on.
and then put the slide hammer, because it fits, it's pretty tight. So I'm going to position you guys over here where you can watch me work. Hopefully, flip this guy back around. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, you can kind of see right here. Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard to see because it's really tight. So there's a little lip there that will go around the back side of that gear, and then there's another one that goes, it's just a clamshell type thing where it, if I get this guy off of here, maybe that one doesn't come, no, I think they both come off. Maybe that one doesn't come off. That one doesn't come off, I guess. No, it doesn't come off, it's bolted in. So, and then once you put that one on there, you put this one on there. You can see what I'm doing here if I can do it. That pushes on, and then what you do is you push this up, and that locks them so they can't come out, and then you just slide hammer it out. So let me get this guy on there. Like I said, I already put it on the slide hammer. I think I'm going to take it off, so I'm not trying to manhandle both of them at the same time, all that weight on the end there. Yeah, all I did is it has a bolt here that I booger welded a nut onto it, so it looks like crap, but it works. Let's see if I can get this guy in there, and you can see I'm not. Try to see. It's going to be hard to see me putting it on, but you get the idea of how it comes off once I get it on there. I might have to pause a bit to get this on, so I can't remember how I do it, because that goes on pretty easy. I think I rotate this up. Rotate this up, so that should stay on there. And then this just goes on here. There we go. And once you get it totally on, this should push on, so it's not quite on right yet. I knew it looked too easy. I've only done this just a handful of times. Now, I theoretically could just give that a pull now, but I'm trying to get this collar up where it's supposed to be. Let me get this whole thing to rotate a little bit. I think I need to turn it a little bit more this way. See if I can tap it up in there. Not sure what's I'm missing. There we go. All right, so now that is locked on. Hopefully you guys could see that to some degree. So now that is locked on that gear. I've tried to pop these off before on a different motor. Well, that one's not the best. On a different motor with just trying to pry it on, and it doesn't work. Now you have to do this. You got to hit it pretty hard. It's pretty stuck in there. As tight as it's going to go, so. Oh, wait. I'm a knucklehead. I didn't take the bolt out the back. All right. Yeah, I jumped the gun. I got a little carried away here. So there is a nut right here you got to take off, and this is my little specialty tool that I built. It's just a piece of, stainless steel bar stock, flat stock, whatever you want to call it. And I cut a 10 millimeter socket and then just tacked it on there. And those welds actually don't look too bad. So I believe this is reverse threads. I don't know if it's going to want to go because I have to lock the front. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to take the slide hammer back off because it's just turning the slide hammer. Great. But it might come off easier now because I've got a lot more space. There we go. Well, dang it, that was too easy. So what I got to do is I got to stick something in that gear so it won't turn. So I have to take something, wedge it in here, kind of something along these lines here. So that'll lock that gear, and then turn the other end. So let's do that. I'll have you watching this end. This is what drives the water pump, if I haven't already said that. So I got to imagine this in my head. So I want to go. Normally you would be going down to tighten it, but that should loosen it. Well, I got it off, and it is a left-handed thread, but if you don't turn it the right way, it eventually breaks. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save this balancing shaft or not. I might just have to order one. Yep, that is what it is. I mean, it happens. It just, like I said, you're kind of do it from the side. My dad could do it. He's good at this stuff. He can, think backwards and forwards and stuff. So I thought I was going the correct way, but obviously, and it started turning. So I'm like, hey, I'm getting it good, but it was a little stiff. And I'm like, it's just a little stiff. That it broke. So I'll pull this out. I honestly don't think I can drill it out. I mean, I don't think I can drill it out and retap it. So I guess the good thing is I learned how to do the one in the car. So one of the cars is gonna be a little more pain because I can't sit next to the engine. I'm going to be leaning over the front of the engine and front of the front of the car, and trying to reach down funky here and reach funky here. But now I know you want to lift up, so not push down. All right, well, that's going to conclude this half of the video. Like I said, I'll try to make it 2 videos, I think, because that head doesn't need rebuilt, so I'm just going to clean it up really good. The valves look good. There's no evidence of them hitting the pistons on the valves or the pistons. So I think what was going on is, one, the VVT valve was messed up, so that's not going to run right. And 2, the bouncing shaft is all froze up, so it was dragging the engine down. So it wasn't letting it run well. Because it would start up eventually, because it was cranking over really hard, because it was probably not have to do with the battery. It was probably because it's trying to spin that bad bouncing shaft. And then once it would start, it would run okay for like about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it would start having problems. So, alrighty, well, I'm going to pull this bouncing shaft out and look at it, see if I think I could possibly drill it out and then clean up the threads and put another bolt in the back of it. But I have a feeling this bouncing shaft is toast. So, alrighty, well, thanks for watching. Bye.